This is a recording of a telephone conversation I'm about to have with Helen Fletcher regarding to take part in the pilot test of the interview questions. So I'm just pausing now, and I'll turn back on when I'm on the line with Helen. Helen?
Oh, hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, all right, thank you. Sorry, who's this? It didn't come up on my phone.
Keith Gray.
Oh, hey, Keith.
Are you okay for this?
Yeah, all good. Sorry, yes, just yeah, no problem. How's it going?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was at the box 7 walkthrough yesterday.
Oh, right.
That was quite interesting. Estelle was there, and Robert Webb. Have you met Robert?
I don't think I have in person.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he works for Bechtel, and I said to him, "Oh, you're the lesser spotted Robert Webb."
Yeah.
Because
not the comedian Robert Webb, though.
No. But he works for Bechtel, and he's incredibly busy, because he said suddenly, infrastructure projects are taking off all around the world, and Bechtel, Bechtel are right in the thick of it.
Yeah, they seem to be absolutely well.
Helen, you're breaking up. Can I call you back?
And I'll give you a call back in 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Hi. Hello. Hello. Oh, sorry. Hello.
I tell you what, if you give me a moment, I might call you from my personal phone.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Cheers.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Hi, is this any better?
Oh, that's much better, yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I think my work phone just seems to not have a particularly brilliant signal anywhere.
Oh, okay.
So, right. So how is the PhD going? Is it just in risk? Sorry, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions first.
No. I think it's just entirely fair. I mean, the title is Risk Analysis for the Concept and Definition Stages of Mega Projects, leading to a framework for decision making. And what I've done so far, apart from an initial skirmish into the literature, which enabled me to write a proposal, was that I've now done a theoretical framework which comprises, because you have to go through this process of going looking at the theory that supports what you're saying, depending on the sort of way in which you're going to conduct the PhD. But I'm choosing to look at the theoretical basis, which looks at probability theory for risk and uncertainty, systems thinking for complexity of projects, and decision-making theory itself. But included in that are things like behaviours, biases, risk attitude, and self-interest.
Oh, wow.
So that's the theoretical stuff. In terms of literature review, which I then have to follow on, I'm looking at the three elements in the title, so namely risk analysis, mega projects, and decision making.
Yeah.
But based on those theoretic theories. And what that has led me to, and again following the process, that what you should do is to say, well, that has informed me of how I should go about my what questions I need to ask, and who is my population I'm going to be asking. Because there's a number of ways of doing this. You can do interviews, you can do online surveys, you can do all sorts of things. I'm choosing to do interviews because the people I want to get to are a range of consultants, risk practitioners, and probably senior project managers or general managers. All in the project space. So the idea here then is to try and tease out where I think this framework how the framework can develop and deliver something back to whoever, both practitioners, project managers and decision makers, to try and improve things, quite frankly. And
Oh, wow.
the reason I'm focusing on the concept and definition phases is because that's where the greatest amount of uncertainty and risk is.
Yeah.
And if you get into the mega project space, it gets really complicated.
Yeah.
Because of disparate and diverse stakeholders and their interests and so on. So that's a very much a thumbnail of what I'm doing.
Cool.
So what
Sounds really interesting.
Well, it's certainly occupying my brain cell. It's getting overworked these days, but yes, it's getting to a point where now, and thank you for kindly agreeing to do this. I've got to. It was a late what they call in cricket terms a curved ball thrown at me. So you've got to do a pilot of these questions before you actually let people loose on them. Oh, I see. Right, okay. I'm going out next week. Oh, right. You better get your finger out then. So, thank you for your assistance in this.
Yeah, that's okay. No problem.
Okay. Now then, you I don't know. Do you get involved on big projects?
So they're fairly sizable. So I'm consulting in the MOD at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
So doing ships related stuff. So they are big in terms of their budget. Some of the scope of some of them is massive. It's not infrastructure. There's very specific kind of constraints around all the projects, so it's not. I mean, I haven't worked on infrastructure or anything like you would traditionally call a mega project. So I kind of assume there's a lot more kind of fluidity and. I mean, there's obviously a lot of uncertainty on things here, but perhaps not in the same way you'd find if you had to deal with kind of completely seemingly random stakeholders, whereas here, obviously, the stakeholders are well established. You know, you either keeping a boat in service or a ship in service or whatever, or you're acquiring a new one.
The one thing I have found out, Helen, is that there is no hard and fast definition of mega project, but they have tried. I mean, the people who are at the leading edge of this have talked about sizing being more than $1 billion. However, they've said in some cases they can be much smaller, but it's the range of influence and impact they have wider than the project that matters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in that sense you could argue that some of them are. I suppose like the QEC, the new carrier was probably a mega project in probably all senses. I guess, but yeah, I suppose if it's not very well defined, then I'd say probably I don't really work on mega projects. But I mean, you could argue the case.
But it's not. You see, the whole idea is it's not. I haven't said infrastructure projects. It's mega projects. So it's
no, that's true.
Much wider than that. But having said that, a lot of the mega projects are infrastructure. And also it's the degree of reach of their impact, you know, so it may be diverse communities, society at large. It could be a whole range of people in the supply chain, internationally, you know, where you've got international partners and so on and so forth. So it could be, it's more to do with the reach rather than necessarily the size.
Yeah, so I'd say, I mean, I'm not sure that anybody ever refers to them as mega projects, but I'd say they're probably, a lot of them do certainly reach those criteria.
Yeah.
Or non-criteria, as I suppose they are. But yeah, that could definitely be argued.
Well, there is a, if you ever want to know, there is a leading light who works in this country on mega projects. A guy called Bent Flyberg, and he's written stuff on this. I mean, articles, books, you name it, and it's illuminating about what goes on. And particularly that thing about self-interest and how not data necessarily, but how projects are promoted in a particular light that makes them look favourable, which is more a stroke to the ego of the person who's trying to get it done than any sense of reality.
Definitely. Oh, that's really interesting. I'll look him up.
It's let me spell his name for you, because it's a weird one. It's FLY.
Hang on.
FLY. So Foxtrot Lima Yankee.
Okay.
And it's FLY V B V Victor Bravo Juliet ERG.
Oh right, yeah, no, I never would have got that one. Thank you.
It's really weird. I just call him Flyberg, so it's just easier.
Yeah.
But he is the leading light in the country on well, actually probably in the world, because everybody refers